Hey my fellow Transformers fans, don't go anywhere because today we're going to look at what may be the best G1 Steeljaw ever. So if you're a fan of G1 boombox bots, Soundwave, and Blaster, you know about the cassettebots. If you're into Masterpiece Transformers, then you know of Takara's MP13 Soundwave, fanstoys RPO1 acoustic wave, KFC transistor, Deformation Space DSO2 Recording Alliance, and or fanstoys FT55 recorder. And if you're not a fan of G1 boombox bots, Soundwave, and Blaster, then a lot of that was probably just gobbledygook to you. But if you know that, then maybe you know that Mastermind Creations is the third-party Voyager and MP scale toy company which has produced the most detailed Transformers cassette bots to date. But these cassette bots are not MP scale. They're bigger, they're beautiful, and I think they're almost the best cassette bots for a G1 Transformers collection. Currently, the only core cassettes missing from MMC's Ox Remix series lineup are Ramhorn and Ratbat, an Autobot and a Decepticon. And Ramhorn, if you've been watching the TF News lately, was just showcased as a prototype at BotCon 2025 with a release date of Q3 2025. So it's supposedly coming soon, and that's what led me to purchase this guy. So this mold has been released 2 to 3 times. The first time was as RMX-11 EX, which was an exclusive at TFCon 2022. And then there were 1 or 2 releases of this standard version. An interesting fact that I found out while reading up on this guy is, and I didn't know this, even owning multiple other cassette bots in the RMX series, but apparently the RMX series is done at a 1-to-1 scale with actual 80s cassette tapes. That does mean that these will not work with any of the MP scale sound waves or blasters, but it does allow MMC to give all this amazing detail to these cassette bots. So if you don't know, MMC has trended for a long time now doing all built-in combiners, meaning that you don't need any accessory packs or there's no parts forming for their combiners. Now you can get accessory packs if you want it to look a little bit more like the cartoon, or maybe a lot more, but you don't have to get those in order to actually create the combiner from the 5 bots that you buy. This follows along in those footsteps because even these weapons here are actually built in to the cassette. One thing that I think MMC does better than any third-party Transformers toy company is their packaging. And this is not much of an exception. Now, the outside of the box is not a whole lot to look at, as you can see here. But once you get on the inside, that's where their design really shines through. You've got this cassette, which is just a wrapper when you get it, but it will fit on the inside of this cassette case, which has this nice molded detail in it to make it look kind of like a Soundwave. It comes with this collector's card, which is decent. It's a little bit on the flat looking side to me. I wish they did it with a little bit more contrast, but it's cool. And then this side has its bio, and then its kind of power ratings and stuff like that. This actually contains the instructions for how to transform this bot, and if you fold things out and then over somehow, there we go. So this piece folds in, and then you flatten it, and there you go. You have all of the instructions there to get it from the cassette mode to the lion mode. Nothing here on the inside, and then on the back is little details and a cool transformation sequence photo series there. Now, like I said, this does actually fit inside this, so you can use it like an actual cassette tape jacket like you would in the 80s. And I'm not sure how this is going to fold. Yes, there it is. Maybe not. There's extra flap here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I was wrong. This does not fit the cassette case. It is a little bit too wide, and I guess they literally meant for it just to be a wraparound sleeve for this, which is kind of a bummer. I'd have to confirm, but I assumed it went in the cassette case. Oh well, it does not, and that's okay, but I am a little bummed. All right, now this guy, as I said, does have a lot of detail, and overall, it was difficult to transform, but it is a cool looking beast mode here, or alt mode rather. I haven't seen any out and out problems with the articulation, except that there isn't much of a tilt you can do with the head. You kind of rock the body, the shoulders there if you want to turn the head, but it does turn some, so that's okay. The body itself doesn't twist, but it does have good articulation in the legs. As you can see here at the shoulder too, it has a spin out, so you can place the leg outward. The paws are impressive with the ball joint here because it just really lets you hit the ground flush no matter what angle, almost. I'm sure there's some limitations, but it lets you hit the angle of the ground really well. Let's see, the back legs also have the same kind of articulation. They fold all the way up there, extend all the way out there, so you can really do a straight jump if you wanted to. Oh, and the peg also lets the foot come off, apparently. But it goes back on. There we go. Tail, no articulation really in the tail. It's just straight. So, but it does a nice job of being a tail. A couple of noticeable negatives about this was that the jaw is very loose. And I read online that somebody else had that quibble too. So for the first time in my life, I have bought some of that Kiki joint stiffener stuff, and I'm going to see if that will help the jaw. But I think part of that might be due to the fact that it actually does slide into place and out of place, I think for the tape mode. So if you can see this jaw actually pulls out and then it can snap back in like that. So I'm going to try some of that Kiki stuff to stiffen up the joint, and hopefully that'll work. Another thing that is a little bit loose, or things that are a little bit loose, are these cannons. And actually, wow, that seems to be sticking fairly well. Nope, that's just because I can't get to it very easily. Unfortunately, they do tend to get tapped, or they did at least, and I had a hard time getting this to straighten out and stay straight. But this one seems to be doing okay now. This one, oh, there you go. That one's already bent down, as you can see, which is a bummer. I'm going to throw some Kiki in this one to try to stiffen that up too. The guns, if you don't want him to be shooting himself in the main, giving himself a haircut, you do have to pull the weapons out to the sides, which doesn't give for a bad look, but I just didn't think I was going to have to do that. Another thing I didn't particularly care for was the fact that these wings are actually put together from two separate slices, which enables it to become an all-in-one cassette, which is very cool. But it didn't... They seem to be made to have a little snap, or a little, at least a snug point that you should be able to kind of snap them together. But it's not really seeming to want to stay. It stays well enough just next to it, but it's not really snapping tight and flush. It would look better to me if it was actually flush all along the wing, but it's not. This side might be doing a little bit better, but it also splits. So yeah, this one has been able to get kind of, yeah, this one actually sits tight together. So that one is cool, but it still is not completely flush as a wing. The head articulation is cool. You can tilt it up. You can tilt it all the way down here. The head does have its own independent tilt, and you can look left and right, and you can look up. The hips, they're on these ball joints, so they can rotate somewhat, not just in a square fashion, but rotating in kind of, a nice circular fashion. I do like the fact that you can offset his legs and things so that he looks more like an actual cat. prowling. So, you know, minor detail, but I really hoped that MMC was going to give us something that was just completely solid. And that jaw especially is a letdown. All right, I'll get this into cassette mode and we'll take a look at that. All right, cassette mode here is beautiful. It is not an easy transformation, but it's obvious that the designer loves what they're doing, loves puzzles, and this thing goes back together amazingly well. If you do have any trouble with the transformation, I'd recommend looking up a transformation video online just to walk you through, as I think a couple of the directions in the instructions are a little too simplistic. I think there's some nuance that the instructions miss. So word to the wise there. And this pulls off the cassette look for the most part. I think some kind of label and a little tape window would definitely help sell the idea of this being a cassette better. But I did go to toyhacks.com to see if there might be a sticker set for this, and there isn't. And maybe that's just because stickers just won't really work on this. I don't know. I'm not sure which pieces necessarily are showing in the bot mode as opposed to the cassette mode. So stickers might just end up looking ridiculous on this in one mode, if not the other. Also, unfortunately, MMC did drop the ball on the cassette case jacket. I verified that MMC's original Frenzy and Rumble, RMX-06 and RMX-07, did have the cassette jackets that actually fit inside the tape case, so that's a miss here with Tempo, aka Steeljaw. So I'm not sure why they didn't follow suit here with Tempo, but they missed the mark on that. On to the MP scale comparison review with our scale standards, MP10 Optimus Prime and MP21 Bumblebee, with a special guest appearance by KFC's Iron Paw for a little bit of MP versus non-MP scale comparison. And finally, here's RMX-11 Tempo. Safe to say, definitely not MP scale in his alt mode. Let's get him out of that and bring him in for real. And boom. MMC's Steeljaw is much more detailed than KFC's. It's larger, and it looks a lot closer to the animation look, while also looking just better. But how does Iron Paw and Tempo scale with MP10 Optimus Prime? If you haven't watched my channel, I have in a previous video proved that MP21 and MP10 are in scale with each other, according to the freelance graphic scale chart, which is what I use as my basis of comparison, my standard for MP scale. So we're going to remove Bumblebee, and we're just going to compare the Steeljaws to MP10 Optimus Prime. So if we look at the freelance graphic scale chart for the G1 characters, you can see that Steeljaw, surprisingly, only comes up to about 3/5 of Optimus Prime's lower leg. So he is pretty darn small compared to Optimus. Now, does our KFC meet that height? Let's find out. Oh man, I used my ruler to help set up the lighting, so I can't pull it down to draw a line across from Iron Paw to Optimus. So what am I going to use? All right, so in place of the MP scale ruler, we'll use this MP scale level and see if I can't get this close enough. Let me bring it in from the other side. And top of Tempo's head comes to about, wow, just that first panel on Optimus's shin there, which is significantly shy of 3/5. How about Tempo? Top of his head, not going by the wing, top of his head is actually, because of this point on his hood, his mane, the wing's interfering a little bit, so approximating, but it is significantly higher than the scale. I mean, that's like 4/5 of his leg. So neither of them are to scale on the Freelance Graphics MP scale chart for G1, but this guy will fit into Blaster, whereas this guy, Tempo, won't fit into any of the recorders, Blaster or Soundwave, because according to what I found out, it's an actual 1-to-1 scale with a real cassette tape. So you need to have a 1-to-1 scale Blaster or some kind of tape player for it to fit. So all in all, I'd give RMX-11 Tempo from MMC a 9.5 out of 10. I'm knocking it down by a half because of the loose bits, the one gun barrel that definitely is too loose, and the jaw that is also too loose. Everything else about it is really nice, except also the tape case. The tape case was a problem. The jacket doesn't go inside the tape case like it did for Frenzy and Rumble. So that's a miss. But all in all, the details of this mold and sculpt are just beautiful. The engineering of this to transform it is amazing, and it is a great addition to my collection. So if you're looking for a great representation of G1 Steeljaw, then I would highly recommend this, as long as you're not needing it to also be the cassette size that will actually work with a Soundwave or a Blaster. But it definitely can do the double work for you as a second Steeljaw in your collection. Thanks for joining me on this episode of MP Squared Reviews, and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have watched this channel a lot and haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Always leave a comment down below if you've got something you would like to talk about, and give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the video to let me know how I'm doing. Until next time, happy collecting, everybody.